Welcome back to One Out Racing. In recent episodes, you've seen me take on this Cinquecento project car, and I've been dismantling and refreshing the 16 valve engine destined to go into it. And in today's episode, we carry on with the final last touches to this engine before we drop it in the Cinquecento engine bay. And since the last time you saw me, that said 16 valve engine is now basically complete. There is everything that needed to be done to it has now been done. And to give you a recap, I've now painted the stock manifold because I'm going to stick with this one for now, new gaskets or new bolts. I've now got the inlet manifold completely on, again with new gaskets and bolts, or at least with a silicone gasket because I couldn't find the actual gaskets for these. New bolts all the way around. That's all set up. I've now got my new Shanghai specials. Don't send me any complaints. They were actually from Shanghai. The only place I could get some decently priced injectors for these. I'm really hoping these will do the job. They are now bolted up properly as well. I'll give you a little tip on that in a moment. And I've now cleaned up the throttle body, which I have no reason to believe has got any problems with it at all. I haven't bolted that on completely yet because I still need to seal it, but that is strapped up and ready to go as well. So as far as anyone can be concerned, that is one refreshed and complete Mark 1 Punto 16 valve engine ready for its ultralight flywheel, uprated clutch, and to be bolted to this freshly repainted and what was completely rebuilt before I got it gearbox. And before I go into any more talking and showing you anything else in today's episode, it's right, you've all been waiting for it. I haven't, but I'm going to be opening the bonnet on this and we're going to be getting this engine bay tidied up, sprayed white, so I can finally get this beautiful engine into there and then get cracking with everything else. All the rest of this project is slowly but surely coming together in my head, and it's all starting to feel that little bit better now that I was finally starting to actually get some clear ideas. Now, just quickly before I go anywhere else, because I feel it's useful to give you these tips as and when I go, when fitting injectors, just make sure you use something, usually like a Vaseline, and something that's not going to be too harmful or anything like that. Don't go crazy, greases and sort of that kind of thing. So a little bit of Vaseline or something just on the little O-rings or on the top and the bottom. It'll just help you push that injector into place without either pushing the O-ring back or damaging it and then causing yourself a fuel leak later on. It's a simple thing, but it's something even I used to forget to do. And three last quick things to mention. I have now switched back to my original pulley. I just couldn't cope with how heavy that other one was going to be, and the fact that I was going to need to move the alternator, chop this engine bracket and stuff. So my man, Duncan of Garage Nero Gatto, or Gatto Nero, which I will make sure I get right, is going to be helping me out, hopefully 3D printing a spacer for here to move the sensor out so it now triggers properly. I am also still waiting on a push fitting to go in here, because obviously, as you can see, it's got a normal dovetail fitting on one side of the fuel rail, but this was a push fitting. So my man Patrick has bought another set because the original ones we got were all too big. I'm just waiting to hear back from him if they fit. If they do, I'll get one. And lastly, because I'll be running this stock manifold, and obviously before it had an 8 valve in this car, I am going to need to make some kind of downpipe to join this to the existing system in the car. Now, I'm not completely blown away by the exhaust on it at the moment. The back box is massive, proper heavy. I'm just not too sure about it, and the actual catalytic converter is really, in my opinion, way too far back. You want it nice and near the engine so it can get really hot nice and soon and do its job. So it's debatable how much of this exhaust I'm actually going to use. I'm actually talking to someone at the moment about getting a stainless steel one from a Cinquecento and then just chopping that about, because that'll make it a little bit easier. But now on with the overalls, on with the face mask, charge up the sander, get a new disc on it. Let's start sanding. This is definitely a hyperlapse montage kind of situation. Now, as you can see, I've removed the bonnet, the bumper, and I'm going to take the wings off as well, because while I'm here, rather than me masking up loads of stuff so I don't get paint on it, I may as well take the wings off because I need to sort some stuff out with the arches and stuff anyway, as in the bolt-on arches. And that means then I can rust-proof inside all the arches and stuff now, get all that tidied up, make sure there's nothing weird going on. And obviously if I do need to do anything to the brakes and stuff, I've got way better accessibility and stuff on there. But I've reached a snag. Now, there are bolts here, all the way up, one at the bottom of the wing, and I forgot that just inside this door shut here, there's actually like a screw, like a big screw. Now the problem is, normally what you would do is open the door all of the way, so I had a nice big gap between these two panels, get a screwdriver in there and get it off. Now you will notice something about my garage. Can I open the door all of the way? No, I can't. I might be all right that side. I think I could probably move some stuff, but I think I'm gonna have to move that unit. Sigh. But either way, I'm gonna have to do it because I can't do it with the wings on, and I've already committed to it now. Phew, I managed to sort it out in the end. All I needed to do was take my little protective foam thing that I've got on there to stop me bashing the doors off, and I just about managed to get a screwdriver in to take it off. Now, good news, you can't really see it in the pictures apart from there, but Charlie, the previous owner, had coated all of the inside of the arches and the whole floor with blue hammerite. Now, you know, say what you like about blue. I don't really like that it's blue, but that's the reason why it's not rusted. It's got so much hammerite on it, it's never going to rust. So that's great. Now I am going to be keying that up and just spraying it black, just to bring it back sensible, like the kind of stone chip, the softer stuff. But otherwise it's looking pretty good. The coilovers, the actual adjuster, like the threads on it are looking a bit rusty. So what I'm going to do is I'm spraying a load of WD-40 on there now, just to hopefully try and loosen that up. And then at some point I'm going to take those off, take them apart and just wire brush everything, try and give it a good coat of like grease and stuff, just to give those a little bit of a refresh. But otherwise, we are finally at the point where I can move all of this stuff out, all of these parts. I have no idea where I'm going to put the things I've just took off, because as you can see, I'm already putting anything light on top of the roof. I haven't really got anywhere else to put it, so I'm going to have to find somewhere down there on a blanket or something. Yeah, I'm just going to start sanding up, move this heater box out of the way, start sanding all these areas. I've already worked out that pretty much all of this bit is covered by the actual foam cloth thing that goes over the top of the heater matrix, so that just has to be decent. I'll just do that fairly well, and then these bits here down either side, but where I need to put the effort in. Just while I'm putting all this stuff back in the garage, putting the wings inside the car, putting the skirts out of the way and stuff like that, another top tip: don't do like I used to do, and I'm still a little bit bad for it now. When you've got a project car, especially one that's in bits, it's all a bit messed up and stuff, you start thinking to yourself, oh, it doesn't matter if I scratch that bit because I'm redoing that bit later, or oh, I'm replacing that bit anyway, I'll get a new bumper, so I'll just throw it to one side because it doesn't matter. Treat everything like you're going to keep it. Don't dent it and scratch it needlessly, because I've done that before, and then actually I've gone, my plans have changed, and I've gone, actually, if I hadn't scratched that bumper up, I probably could have used that one, saved myself a bit of money, because I've got some unexpected expense, like the coilovers are knackered, or I need to get those brakes redone, or whatever. So the bumper, the wings, skirts, don't matter. Even though I think I'm going to repaint them, I'm still treating it like I'm not, just in case I decide to run it in this blue, black and red scheme for now, and then do the paint jobs a little bit later on. So learn from my mistakes, treat everything nicely. Okay, while I'm here, I've also removed all this old kind of sealant layer between this. I'll either put like a new sealant or something else in that when I do it. I'm going to sand all that back as well, just do that white while I'm here. But now I need to make a decision, because there are two things I want to do while this engine is in here. Maybe three if I'm feeling fruity, but two especially. Do I remove the battery tray? Because obviously while there's no engine and stuff in there, I may as well. It would absolutely look cleaner, but obviously then I need to extend the wires into further behind the back, maybe behind the passenger seat, so it's not too far back. If I'm going to do it, I may as well do it now. And secondly, I'm going to relocate the shifter cables through the bulkhead so I can have the shifter inside. So again, if I'm going to do it, I may as well do it now. And behind door number 3, the big magic one, I don't think I'm going to do it, just because I can feel this project already spiraling out with the money as it is, and that is to remove this steering rack and replace it with a power steering rack from Cinquecento. If you don't know, Cinquecento's came with electric power steering, and the actual motor was on the steering column itself. So this just meant that this was just much lower geared, so it's something like 3.5 turns full lock to lock on a normal one. It's like 2.5 or something with the other one, so it's a lot less turns, much better for handling. So I may do that if I can find one cheap enough and I feel fruity. But yeah, I mean, you can't really give me your opinion on this, but we'll figure out in a minute whether this suddenly disappears. Right, and this is what we're up against. So you will see I need to clean all this inner arch off, and we're going to get that stone chip on, like I mentioned. I'm soaking all of the bolts at the moment, but obviously none of them are done up properly because Chris just chucked it back together for me to get it back. But weirdly, the only part of this whole car that hasn't been painted are the hubs. So when I take the disc off, which I'm hoping, even though it looks really bad on camera, I'll be able to just clean up, because these actually look like really good discs. So we'll take those off, try and give those a bit of a clean. Then while this is on the car, I've got to spray this with some black hammerite, just a nice little light coat. And I cannot find them, but I've got some brand new drop links somewhere, so I'll stick some new drop links on. I'm going to take these off. Again, I've been soaking all of this with WD-40, and I'm just going to clean all these threads up, grease those, paint the bottom with some black hammerite, because again, that's starting to rust a little bit just to the bottom. So I want to try and keep these avos going for as long as possible. And then basically when we put it all back together, discs, drop links, put these back on, I'll put the camber bolts on as well, and we'll get everything tightened up at the top so that I don't miss anything at a later date. Because even though I may bolt and check it eventually, if I just bolt everything on properly straight away, then I know there's no chance that I'm going to be losing bolts when I start driving it. Right, we are running a bit tight on space here, so you'll have to apologise, well, I apologise now, sorry, for the camera angles. So this is where we're at the moment. Got the disc off, and it's actually cleaned up really well. I'll show you that in a second. I've wire brushed this quickly and just gave it the lightest coat of black hammerite, just straight onto the rust. I cleaned any grease and stuff off. I just hated how rough that looked compared to everything else. I'm going to be replacing these, but can I find my new ones that I've got tucked away somewhere? No, I flipping can't. I put them in the back of the Lemon in case they needed it when they did the wheel alignment, and now I can't find them. They're not in the car. They're in the stash of parts somewhere, so annoying. So I'm just going to have to leave these on just for the time being, but obviously this will have some nice shiny new track rod ends on there. So what I'm going to do now is, I think Chris before had the same problem. This one seems pretty seized on, this flexi. Rather than break it and bust this whole, quite difficult to bend round brake line, I'm just going to mask this flexi up and leave it as it is so I can spray it. If it gets on the hard lines, that's not the end of the world. That's basically done. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around, just wire brush all of the inside of this. Anywhere there's any little bits of surface rust, which there really aren't because of the blue hammerite, but anywhere where you didn't get the blue hammerite, I'm just going to put some decent rust encapsulator on there, the spray primer. Then we're going to mask up as much as I need to, which I shouldn't go too crazy, probably just more this side and a little bit across the top. Then we're going to do a nice thick coat of black stone chip all the way around the outside. Then we can put it all back together. Now, and just in case you're new to the channel or you forgot, this is my go-to rust encapsulator, Eastwood rust encapsulator. I'll be honest with you, I haven't tried a huge amount of them, but this one actually does do a pretty good job. It's £30 a can, so it should do a good job. And this, so far at least, I think I might have some other stuff as well. So I'm going to see which one, I can't remember which one I prefer, but I've got either this one, which does seems to do a really good job, or this one, which does an even better job. I've got a lot more of this anyway, so this is probably the one I'm going to use on this. That other one tends to be for cars that, you know, a little bit of kind of a daily banger kind of car I don't have to worry about quite as much. But this stuff's pretty expensive, but it does a wicked job. So this will be going on the arches. And there you go, look, my worn out races. This is why you should never take anything for granted. Even though I said this is completely 100% rust free in here because of all the rust coatings and stuff, I did decide to go around with a screwdriver and just scrape around just to make sure there weren't any bits I needed to worry about. And there were just some bits where the hammerite was actually starting to flake off quite easily. Either it's been stone chipped by a rock flying up, or maybe it was a bit of a bubble underneath when it was applied. And I just found a few little areas, oh, maybe it's a bit too bright, there you go, of surface rust. And obviously this is like a sort of like a seam sealer, like coating. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go around with my attachment. Again, that's a big blob of seam sealers, don't worry about that. My drill attachment, just grind all this lip off, make sure I get it out right out to the actual good metal, because obviously even though I've got rust encapsulator and the actual stone chip, it's no good if it can't get to the rust. So I'll do that, and as a little treat to you, I won't talk about this anymore. I'm just going to go away and do it, and you're going to come back and see this all one lovely black. And then hopefully with the coilovers on, so I've done them and the brakes and everything else. So I'll be back in a few minutes. And there you go. Now don't worry about the door shuts there and stuff. That'll all get sorted out when I do other parts of it. We're just concentrating on the inner arch for this bit. It has come out very, very well. Hopefully keeps this car going for even a little bit longer. The brakes are on as well, or at least the disc is on. I will worry about getting some studs for that at a later date. The track will then hurts my soul every time I see it. I will change that in a minute. But there you go. Now, onto the coilover. Now, the nice thing about coilovers is you can wind these down far enough so the spring actually isn't under any tension whatsoever. So you can undo this top mount without worrying about it taking your head off like you would on standard suspension. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to undo these top mounts here. Just make sure this top mount's in pretty good condition. I mean, as much as I want to get all this blue paint off, I might. But I mean, this is a bit of a disposable item anyway, top mounts. Take these off, take the coil spring off itself, and then try my best to clean up all of these threads, wind this up a little bit, clean all the bottom ones off, and then we'll grease these up with something suitable. And then we'll wire brush this off, and on this side, just give it a little coat of black hammerite just to keep that going as well. And we'll just make sure everything is looking top notch for when it goes back on the car. Right, might not look like it, but I'm pretty much done as far as refurb almost. So this was actually stuck. Sometimes you do get this with aluminium and steel. They kind of corrode together. It's kind of weird. They kind of stick. But thankfully, I managed to put the adjuster tool. So if you get a proper one of these, it will save yourself some headaches. And then a dead blow hammer. So again, this is nice and good. So, and again, this is really suited for doing stuff like this because it just stops dead when you hit it, hence the name. So that just loosened it up. And then all I've done then is made sure that it winds up as far as I'm ever going to need it and goes all the way down to the bottom, and it does. My little locker pin as well works. So what I need to do now is I'm just going to quickly look up what kind of grease I can put on this. I don't want to put anything stupid. I was just going to put some copper grease all up and down here, but actually I'll look up whether it needs to be like a silicone type one. Cleaned all this up, made sure there was no grime and horribleness in there. This is all looking pretty good. So I'll put the dust boot back on once I've greased all this. Put the top mount and stuff back on there, make sure that's all torqued up properly. And then we'll just mask this off with a bag. Tidy up all this bottom bit, give it a bit of a brush, paint it up, and then this one is good. Obviously I've got no way of knowing whether the shock itself's all right, but it seems it. When I push it in, it slowly rises on its own. It's not too stiff, it looks all good, so happy days. Here we go, one freshly finished coilover. Now again, I know these are throwaway parts. I'm going to put new top mounts on it at some point in its life, but I just couldn't have it going on. There were loads of different bits of paint on it, so it was a really quick job with the Hammerite. In the end, I went for a silicone spray on the threads. I didn't want to go anything too crazy, and I had some anyway, so I just sprayed that on there. Locked everything else up. This is obviously a complete guess at ride height. It's slightly less than it was, because I think it was running a bit high up. And everything went back together nicely once I remembered that I'd put this to one side, which is like a little lock-in washer. So basically when you're trying to do these bolts up, this whole shaft is going to try and spin. So you hold these with a big pair of pliers so you can do the bolt up. Completely forgot. I stuck it in a little tray over there to make sure I didn't lose it. So when I was trying to do it up, couldn't understand why it wasn't working. So my final thing, which you won't see, is just painting the bottom of this so it's all done. And I've already got, if you'll come over here, these are the original bolt to put one bar in, and the camber bolts, which if you didn't see one of my previous episodes for track upgrades on the Lemon Cinquecento, I will explain in that how I did it all, but for this one I won't be. I'll just be fitting these in exactly the same way as I did the last ones, and then we can, for the time being at least, call this side done. I really do need to have a word with my parts manager, me, because I seemingly now can't find anything, even though I've been more organised now than I've ever been in my life. You already know about the track rod end, but I've also now lost some spare wheel studs that I had. I haven't got enough to do the whole car, but every time you buy a set of these, obviously it gives you enough for 5 studs per wheel. I only got 4, so every set I buy, I have 5 spare ones. So in theory, 4 spare ones even. So in theory, I've got 8 of them kicking around, which, anyone who does the maths, is enough for me to do 2 wheels. But I can only find 3 of them. So if I just quickly spin around. So for now at least, this wheel's just on with 3 studs and the 3 lug nuts that I had kicking around, but obviously I will do it properly. It's all back together, looking absolutely rosy. I have put these bolts back on for now, but I'm going to use some nicer ones afterwards. But obviously when I come to paint this, I'll just unscrew these so I can paint around it. And then I'll just mask this area off. Job done. Now what I need to do is by magic do everything I've just done on this side, on that side, which will take about 3 or 4 seconds, I imagine. I did it a few times. I've avoided it plenty of times, and I've also said I was going to start it a couple of times, and I still haven't. So now I'm going to start sanding the engine bay. Oh, and I've decided to cut the battery tray out, or at least half of the battery tray, most of it, because I'm going to be running a really small battery like Patrick does on his Auto Solo car with some little battery terminal adapters, which means I can still keep it in the front. It'll be significantly smaller and lighter, take up loads less space, and it can just sit just a little bit back and make my engine bay look that little bit cleaner. Right, that's going pretty well. Now let's just manage some expectations here. I am not smoothing the engine bay. Apart from the battery tray there, I'm not removing anything, doesn't need to go in. This is very much a case of getting the blue off, getting any little bits of patches of little bits of rust like inside these lips or anywhere else. Obviously you can see where Chris was sanding it before, a little bit of surface rust and stuff on there. So I've just gone around with the wire brush attachments. They've come in very handy again. Anywhere there was a little tiny bit of rust just coming through, I've just got as much of it off as I can with the wire brush and just getting off all of the old sort of like sealer and stuff on there. All this seam sealer down here, I've got rid of all of that. I know it's got a purpose. Once I've painted it, it will be absolutely fine. Obviously they do it for a bit of extra protection and stuff between joins, but I don't have to worry about that. There's a little bit of surface rust just creeping in these few little bits. I've got it on my other car as well. So I'm just making sure I'm getting into all these tiny little nooks and crannies. All down here, all down in here, there's little bits of surface rust and stuff. So I'm happy as far as the wire brush is concerned now. So I'm just going to hoover that out, and then I'm going to put the sander on so I can start just blending in. I will take this back anyway, even though you're not going to see it. And I'm just going to go around here and just smooth off all these edges where the whatever Chris used before has just left the marks and stuff in it. All these little flakes of paint, otherwise it's going to look rubbish when it actually comes to painting it. And before I paint it, I'll be going around just putting some acid etch primer on anything I think is bare metal and stuff. A little bit of the rust encapsulator on any of the rusty bits. Then we'll mask it up, and then we'll hope that I can do a somewhat decent job. Right, that's 1.5 batteries on my electric drill with the wire brush attachments. That's got all that stuff off, and I've used up all my discs because my little sander only came with a few discs and I forgot to buy any more of them, and it's flat anyway. So I'm going to show you what I've done so far. Definitely not going to get it all done with an electric tool. We just won't be able to get into all those areas, but I've definitely, as you hopefully will see, smoothed off most of the stuff that's going to cause me problems doing it by hand. And then now it'll be getting some sandpaper blocks or just some sandpaper and just feathering in all those edges so there's just not loads of lines and weird bits when you actually paint it, where it transitions from the old and new paint. But yeah, let's see how we're getting on. It's worth bearing in mind this is actually a silver car originally, so even though it looks like I've gone back to like bare metal or took all the paint off, I haven't. It is was painted white at a later date, and the actual engine bay is still silver underneath all that blue. So this is a silver paint, and obviously this is where I've just had to go through it, but you can't obviously tell, but I've smoothed these edges off now so you can't feel them at all, just because they were really bad. All these little bits of rust now, I've ground them all the way back, and I've started smoothing this off properly. This bit, like I said, I've just got rid of all the rust, surface rust on there, but this whole area is basically going to be behind the heater matrix anyway, so again I don't have to worry about that. And I've done all down here, most of the chassis legs. I've still got this little bit to do, but I'm going to struggle with that. But again, you're not even going to see that part of it. It's only really these top bits that are going to make any difference. So allow me to charge up the little tool, get some sandpaper, and you get the idea. I imagine next time you see this video, I'll probably be putting primer down, some sort of acid etch or something. But you are going to have to wait till the next episode, because I feel like this is going to take me a little bit of time to get this in a position where I can actually primer it, all the masking and stuff like that. So rather than you waiting to see how I'm getting on and I can't put out another episode, leave this with me. I will carry on cracking on just as I am. I'm just finishing off a few more bits on the suspension on the other side. And when you come back in the next episode, we should be starting off with either some kind of montage of me spraying it already sprayed, or me telling you I've ran into a problem. Let's hope it's one of the first two. Thanks so much for stopping by again. Hopefully you can see that the progress is coming along very quick. I honestly can't put any more hours into this if I tried without making it unenjoyable. And that's the key, people. If you're working on a project, you've got to enjoy it. Get those quick wins, those little jobs that makes it more interesting. Whatever you got to do, make YouTube videos, put it on Instagram, as long as it's doing it for your enjoyment and not just to show off and get people to tell you whether you're doing a good job. And that makes sense. So anyway, I will see you again soon, maybe the next week or two. Who knows? See you later.